Denn jetzt geht's wieder zum Verhör. Wie bekannt?
We found your fingerprints in blood on the computer keyboard in your office.
So what? I already told you I found Mark and I picked up his suicide note. There was blood everywhere.
And then you told us you left the construction site. You didn't mention going back to your office first.
Are you serious? Look, I wasn't keeping a record of my every movement. So yes, I went back to the office. And I went to the computer to check on where Mark had left everything. And then I went home. How dare you ask me that question? No, I didn't write Mark's suicide note.
Wir haben aber Beweise, und zwar...
Turns out that Mark Enson's suicide note was printed from your computer after the time of death. Care to explain that?
Oh my God. This is not what it looks like.
Really? Because it looks like you did a very bad job trying to make a murder look like a suicide.
I didn't kill Mark. All I did was frame a guilty man.
What's that supposed to mean?
Mark killed himself. He jumped off that balcony. I don't think there's any question about that. But just in case there was going to be some question about it, I didn't want you guys snooping around my property for God knows how long looking for a killer. So I planted the suicide note, hoping you guys would just think it was an open and shut case.
That is one of the dumbest stories I've ever heard, Mr. Lynch. Not only is it an admission of obstruction, but it doesn't even begin to give you an alibi.
No one I can think of off the top of my head. But, you know, Mark was starting to alienate a lot of folks. He was starting to act crazy, manic, impulsive. I mean, the night he died, he must have called up some subcontractor out of the blue and hired him without my approval to completely rip up the lobby and then plant that weird native cactus garden. But who the hell do you call after business hours to plant a damn garden? I don't know, but maybe that guy knows something about what happened to Mark.
Wait, you're telling us that that cactus isn't supposed to be there? Maybe we need to take a closer look at that garden.
We can sit here and you can continue to harass and try to intimidate me, but seriously, I have nothing more to say to you people.
So, hat denn vielleicht ein Alibi?
You want to know my alibi? Why don't you just ask Agent Huntby? Oh yeah, I know him. We actually haven't had the pleasure of a formal introduction, but let's just say we have mutual friends, and some of his friends have been tailing me for the last 6 months. Maybe they'll have some pictures for you. Maybe a recording, video. I understand they like to do that sort of thing. They're kinky like that. Absolutely not. I never laid a hand on Mark.
Look, Agent Huntby, I'm fine with you and the feds piggybacking on our investigation, but when you have information we need, you need to share it with us immediately.
I appreciate your position, Jim. I do.
I don't give a damn what you appreciate. I want to know why we may be wasting our time interrogating a suspect if you already know he has an alibi.
I'm trying to tell you it wasn't my call. There are protocols for sharing information. Yes, we are, but I'm not in charge of that particular operation. Well, according to the field report, Lynch returned home from dinner at 3 a.m. No further movement was observed inside his house until the following morning. No. And the truth is, I can't confirm Zachary Lynch's whereabouts at the time of Mark Enson's murder.
Why not?
This morning, Lynch apparently gave our surveillance team the slip.
So you trying to tell us that you don't trust your men?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm trying to tell you, Jim. Off the record, that is. On the record, I should tell you to go to hell.
Looks like we can't be sure whether Lynch was at home or not. Maybe it's time we looked at our crime scene a little more closely.
Gut, wir müssen uns den Tatort anschauen. Und zwar schauen wir uns den Kakteen-Garten nochmal an. Was der jetzt mittlerweile was? Immer noch nicht. Gut, soll ich da warten? Wir schauen uns da nochmal den Garten an. Denn scheinbar muss da irgendwas faul sein.
Let's get this to the lab and find out what kind of plant it is.
Gut, jetzt haben wir das Unkraut ausgerupft. da haben wir ja nichts mehr, oder? Normal nicht.
Well, from the smell of it, I bet I can guess what that is. And if it's some sort of specialty fertilizer, then maybe we can connect it back to a specific manufacturer or distributor.
Okay, wir haben wieder was gefunden. Und die Substanz da, die sagen, kann man dann gleich mal auswerten. Und da haben wir jetzt alles.
Check this out. So I was doing a little background on this ash metal gum plant, and I found these articles related to the building of the La Ventura Casino. It seems that an environmental group called Primeval won a temporary injunction against Silver Sierra's construction of La Ventura. It was seeking a supplemental environmental impact report on the ash meadows habitat, which Primeval claimed was being threatened at the building site. But it looks like an appeals court overturned the injunction.
Gut, können wir denn jetzt unsere Beweise auswerten? Und zwar Chemikalien. Wie gehabt, müssen wir jetzt wieder die richtigen Dinge finden. Wo es ja nicht kompliziert ist.
This is a high-grade synthetic fertilizer. It's rare enough that Brass should be able to contact the manufacturer and get a record of the people to whom they sell and ship their product. We should swing by his office.
Okay, dann schauen wir mal zu Brass ins Büro. So, wegen dem Dünger.
I'm on it. Obrera's lawyers were very cooperative. Unfortunately for us, there was only one buyer who purchased the fertilizer in our area. About 6 months ago, a nursery called Green Growth Plants.
Turns out that nursery is owned by a man by the name of Todd Stewart.
Todd Stewart?
We can't prove it yet, but we suspect he's connected to a group called Primeval. We think he's a terrorist, an eco-terrorist.
So, das ist also der Ökoterrorist.
Todd Stewart, we'd like to ask you a few questions.
I'm a little confused. Am I in some kind of trouble here?
Your name came up during the course of a homicide investigation.
Homicide? Who got killed?
Construction foreman over at the La Ventura site. His name is Mark Ensign.
No, I don't. No, sir, I don't. Not that I know of. No, I'm sorry.
Gut, kennt ihr anscheinend keinen?
You know, build a garden? Maybe water some plants?
No, no one ever has. And I would never accept a job like that even if it were offered to me.
Their money no good for you?
Do we really need another casino in Las Vegas? Really? For that matter, do we really need another gated housing community or a freeway? When is this gonna stop? Not to get on my soapbox here, but I do consider myself to be a very active environmentalist, and I can't stand to bear witness to what we are doing to literally exterminate our planet. She truly is our Mother Earth, and we owe it to her to do whatever we can to keep her safe.
Okay.
Yes, I am familiar with them, and I already know what your next question is going to be.
Are you a member of Primeval, Mr. Stewart?
No, I am not a member, but I will be honest with you. I believe in their cause. I do. This runaway train of so-called progress must be derailed somehow, otherwise this beautiful planet will die. And if protecting our planet sometimes means resorting to guerrilla gardening, so be it. It falls right in line with the traditional practice of civil disobedience.
Well, you may not be a member, but it kind of sounds like you might have pledged a few dollars over the years.
I often wish I had. And I bet you wish I had. Because that would mean you could arrest me right now for helping to finance a terrorist group. But the sad truth is, I don't have the courage of my convictions. I'm just a gardener.
So, wie wär's denn mit einem Schuhabdruck?
Of my shoe? Why?
Is there a problem, Mr. Stewart?
I got a problem with you playing fast and loose with my rights. But you know what? Let's just get this whole thing over with. Take my whole damn shoe if you like.
Thanks for showing us the bottom of your shoe, Todd.
So, der hat noch mehr zum Song. Und zwar brauchen wir eine DNA-Probe.
You gotta be kidding, right?
We don't even need to draw your blood. Just a swab to the mouth will do. Totally painless.
But why?
We'd like to be able to exclude you as a potential suspect.
You guys really are a piece of work. Whatever, take it.
Gut, die DNA-Probe haben wir.
You know I did. That's why I'm here, isn't it?
Anyone else have access to it?
Yes, I have several people who work for me. Haven't we been over this? No, I've never been to the Laventura site.
Haben wir denn Beweise?
That doesn't mean anything. Look, I don't appreciate being dragged in here just to be harassed.
Yes. Sorry, my partner misspoke.
Why do you think that's my footprint? What? No, I've never heard a living soul.
Ja, Beweise haben wir keine. Aber halt das. Das kann passen, ne? Da gehen wir jetzt nochmal ins Labor. Denn das schaut ziemlich gleich aus, was wir schon haben. Und zwar das da.
The shoe print we found at the crime scene is a match to Todd Stewart's shoe impression.
Okay, jetzt haben wir schon mal einen Beweis gegen den Stewart. Jetzt gehen wir gleich nochmal zurück in den Verhörraum. So, Freund. Wir haben einen Beweis.
Haven't we been over this? No, I've never been to the Laventura site.
So, das glaube ich schon, dass er dort war.
That's your shoe print at La Ventura, in the middle of the native garden, right where we found the body of Mark Ensign.
I didn't kill anybody.
Todd, it's time to come clean. Mark Ensign caught you vandalizing the property. He caught you in the act, didn't he? You struggled, and you killed him.
All I did was plant the garden. My mission was to restore the ash metal to its rightful place. It had been smothered by the monstrosity of that building, and I put it right back where it belongs. And that's all I did, I swear. I have no idea what happened to Mark. He was alive when I left him.
Well, now it sounds like you knew the victim.
It wasn't like we were friends or anything. I approached him, introduced myself, and appealed to his sense of justice for the planet. I asked him if he fully understood the havoc the building of Laventura was wreaking on the native environment of the Las Vegas Valley, the genocide of the ash metal. That was over 6 months ago, and he totally blew me off. But then last week, he actually called me.
He invited you to tear up his lobby?
See, you're trying to perpetuate the big lie. It wasn't his lobby. He was an employee. It had nothing to do with him. He was just a cog in the machine that is this whole consumer capitalist corporate complex, and somehow Mark finally got it. It was like he found God. Total conversion.
Really? Next, you'll be telling us Mark started writing checks out to Primeval.
Look, this operation had nothing to do with Primeval. It was my own initiative, and Mark turned out to be my greatest ally. I finished setting the garden around 9 p.m., but before I left, another construction worker had shown up. I think he was the plumbing foreman. They started discussing the Bureau of Sanitation halted construction. And then they started to argue. Kept hearing them mention this guy named Lynch like he was their boss or something. But they were really fighting over some money, some cash left in a safe. Apparently it was a lot of cash, and the plumbing guy thought he was entitled to it. And I guess Mark didn't think so.
Was this plumbing guy's name Marcus Kunchai?
Mark kept yelling Marcus this, Marcus that, but I didn't catch the guy's last name.
Oder hat doch der Markus damit was zum Tor?
From their argument, it sounded like he was right up there in their office, under a rug.
Okay, gewürgt hat er nicht.
No, I've never heard a living soul.
Gut, wir haben keine Beweise.
Thank you for your cooperation, Mr. Stewart. But we'd like you to stick around for a little bit while we verify some information.
You know, I don't mind helping you guys. I just mind being treated like a criminal.
Well, if the shoe fits.
So, wir haben einen neuen Schauplatz, und zwar an Markus sein Büro.
Mr. Kunchai, we'd like to ask you a few more questions, if you don't mind. Maybe take a quick look around your office.
I do mind, actually. Do you have a search warrant?
Well, we can get one if we need to.
How could you get one? I haven't done anything wrong. You can't just barge in here on a scavenger hunt. I know my rights.
Look, we can do this one of two ways, Mr. Kunchai.
Please, spare me. I say we go for the hardest, most pain-in-the-ass, constitutional way for you guys. Okay? How about that? You come back with a warrant, or you don't come back at all.
Mr. Kunchai.
You come back with a warrant, or you don't come back at all.
Gut, wir brauchen einen Durchsuchungsbefehl. Den kriegen wir bei Brass hoffentlich. Oder nicht. Vielleicht müssen wir davor was anderes machen. Aber wir werden jetzt erstmal eine Pause legen und dann werden wir uns den Durchsuchungsbefehl holen, um Markus sein Büro zu durchsuchen.